Okay, so, yo, people, went and checked out A Quiet Place Day One. So this is from Michael Sarnoski, right? He directs, he writes, he devised the story with John Krasinski. The film is produced by John Krasinski, Andrew Form, Brad Fuller, and Michael Bay. It's executive produced by Vicky D. Rock and Alison Seeger. Associate produced by Jeff Robinson and co-produced by Alexa Ginsberg. Alexi Grappas took care of the music. Pat Skula was on cinematography. Andrew Mondashine and Gregory Plotkin edit the piece. Carmel Cochran was down with the casting. Simon Bowles is production design. Art direction, we have Remo Tuzzi, David Tinto, Agis Frillis, Christopher Minard, Alistair McKay, Albert McCausland, Dominique Law, Nick Dent, and Sophie Bridgman. Neil Floyd was on set decoration. Costume design is Bex Crofton Atkins. Right. Hair, makeup, prosthetics. We got Charlie Blut, Anita Casilli, Poppy Clouter, Honor Connolly, Matthew Finch, Chris Fitzpatrick, Marel Carew, Denise Coombe, Laura Lilly, Camille Neva, Amira Skankler. So the cast, right? We've got Lupita Nyong'o as Samira, aka Sam. We have got Ruben, played by Alex Wolff. Eric is played by Joseph Quin. Henry is played by Dijmon Husu. Right? So if you watched A Quiet Place Part 2, Henry has a big part in that. So yeah, we get a little bit, an intro to that character, a little backstory. Xena is played by Elaine Umahiri. Osara is played by Takunda Kamule. Max played by Alfie Todd. The young sister is played by Avy-Berry Worrell. Marvin Monroe, played by Ronnie Lee Drew. The cashier, played by Benjamin Wong. Dwayne, played by Michael Roberts. The priest, played by Alexander John. Frodo was the cat. The cat's Frodo, right? And Frodo was played by Shinzel and Nico. So yeah, there you go. That's probably our main lot of cast. And the gist of the story is, after the events and revelations of A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, it is time to go back to day one, following Sam as she's on a group trip in New York City. Everything is going fine until the invasion that sends the world into silence begins. Can the city stay quiet, and can Sam and Eric, a new unlikely friend, make it somewhere safe? But no matter what happens, don't make a sound, and you might just find out what happens in A Quiet Place Day One. So yes, that is. I mean, that is pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. I mean, they miss out of like Ruben and whatnot, but no, that pretty much follows the film. And yeah, I was curious because it says day one, and in part two we do get like the beginning of the invasion. We do see some of that. So it's just like, what will this show? So it starts off as in a group session, right? Samira is in a group session. We get a little poem from her. Maybe not a poem you will be telling your kids, but we do get a poem, right? So yeah, I think that lets us know, right? Okay, Sam, she's ill, very ill. I think it's probably a bone cancer. That's what it would seem like. We don't actually know what type of cancer, but I'd assume from the pain she talks about, it's a bone cancer. So we know she's ill, and yeah, they go into the city. She doesn't want to go, but the law of pizza takes her. And when they're there, they get Ruben gets a message like something's going on. They should leave. And that's when everything goes to shit. So it's just like, okay, right. Now, I think the interesting thing, when you're in a big city, there is so much noise, right? So much noise. And people can try and keep quiet, but even in a large group, there's noise, right? And so we really, get an interesting play with sound, because I think in that first film, the way they had this, it was fantastic because we're in the midst, right? We're a while into it all, and we just see, then using sign language and all of this, and it's just, oh, that's so smart. It's so smart. The second one, they're playing with that, but we get a bit more talking and stuff. So it was just like, how are they going to keep this interesting? And I think what we do get in this one is smart. Now, they use pen and pad, right? Which you go, oh, yeah, obviously that makes sense. I mean, for me, it was a fucking nightmare because they're not writing large. You know what I mean? It's small little text on a fucking pad, which you think story-wise, that's really good. Visually, when your eyesight's fuckeries, you know what I mean? Doesn't work. I have no clue what half the shit was. And the film actually opens with some text, but it's white text on a light background. I think most people are probably going to struggle with that, but I have no clue what the fuck any of it said. Now, the fact that I couldn't read these messages, couldn't read the text at the beginning, I still thoroughly enjoyed this film. I still thought it was really well done. Really well done. And there's certain things that we know from the other films, right? Like water. The fact that there's things that can screen the noise for the aliens. So we're having them work that stuff out, right? So it's like, oh shit, yeah. So we see these things, we see this working out ways to navigate. So it's done really well. And then, we've got noises, right? So you think broken glass, alarms, coughing, crying. There's things like that. But something as simple as a bit of fabric ripping, right? So the anxiety of this film is just there. It is just amped the fuck up, which does make it really just intense. and the amount of times I fucking jumped. Now, it wasn't as scary as something like Longlegs, even though we probably, this is the film where we really see the monsters the best. And it does seem that there's a few different kind of shapes and types of monster. But even though we see them a fair bit, it is kind of sparingly, right? It's not necessarily always full on. The way they show it really, through smoke, right? Bit glimpses through mirrors and windows and that kind of. So that, the way they show the monsters and they appear, again, makes you jump a lot of the time. So it's really well done visually. Visually, it's really well done. The film is a lot darker than the other films. And I mean visually dark, not like dark in tone and that kind of thing. Although, we're dealing with cancer and other stuff like that. So it is, but visually, there are a lot of dark scenes. But yeah, no, I thought, still on a visual front, really well done. The sound design, as we just the use of noise and the use of quiet, right? Again, like in that first film, like everything is palpable. So it's very well done. Like just the sound of rain and running water, thunder, just all of those things. It's great. It's great. The acting, I mean, we know Lupita is just incredible. Like, I know I've seen Joseph Quin, but I can't think of a whole heap of roles I've seen him in. But the fact that he's playing not Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm in Fantastic Four, like to see his abilities, it does, like, it's kind of when you saw Denis Villeneuve's Arrival and you're just like, oh yeah, he's going to do well with Dune, right? Even though Ben Grimm and Eric, completely different people, right? I mean, obviously they're different people, but I mean, they're not the same archetypes or anything like that. But I mean, he's got acting chops. Yeah, so I'm fully, convinced he's going to be able to pull that role off. But no, the acting is really good, right? Ruben, Alex Wolff does a fantastic job with Ruben. Everyone does a really good job, right? And just like the kids. There's a few kids in this, and because you just think they're so scared, right? And they just really bring that. I mean, the Eric character has anxiety attacks and all of this, which help to add the tension. And I will definitely say though, Frodo, that's one hell of a cat, right? Because this cat is when you think about your cat, right? Cats meow all the time. Give me food. Meow, 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 meow. Loud purring. This cat was mad well behaved. Mad well behaved. I don't know if a service cat is trained, when they're like, don't make noise. The fuck up. I don't know what they do, but this cat was like super. He's super. But yeah, no, it was just really well done. I enjoyed it. The story line, it makes sense, right? It makes sense when you understand these characters, right? That whole journey, you're like, okay, yes, I get it. That's really good. And just the behavior of people, like, look, we've got these announcements going, everyone keep quiet. Because, they've worked out, right? The aliens are attracted to noise. But as I said, when you're in a huge group of people, even when people know what they're meant to be doing, people still don't do what they're meant to be doing. So we have that. And then people trying to do what they're thinking, well, it'll be fine if I just bring my wheelie case, right? People will still not be able to comprehend the severity of, right, the magnitude of your actions, which makes so much sense. So I'm so glad they added those little nuances here. I'm so glad that was part of this, right? And then what are you going to do to try and keep everyone safe, right? How far would you go? Because people are going to lose their minds. People are going to be freaking out. So what would you do? What would you do? We see it all. We see it all. So this was a really well thought out story, a tremendously directed piece of work. I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed this more than part 2 as well. I really did. I think I think it was a more consistent film. And I loved the ending. I loved the ending. I really did. Because again, you understand it. It makes sense. It makes sense. So if you haven't seen A Quiet Place Day 1 yet, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I mean, I think it's out on VODs, right? And it possibly will be coming to Paramount Plus at some point real soon. But yeah, I mean, seeing it on the big screen with the sound system, that's probably the best way, because it's the way sound is layered, right? All of that. You want that big sound system. But yeah, people, if you enjoyed A Quiet Place, you will really enjoy Day 1. If you enjoyed part 2, and I did think part 2 was good. I just didn't think it was good as part 1. But if you enjoyed that, you'll enjoy Day 1. Especially, as I said, we see a little bit of the beginning in part 2, but we really explore it in Day 1. So yeah, people, go check it out. A Quiet Place, Day 1. It is really fucking good.